Greetings, and welcome to A Year of Movies, a Planet Geek production. For this project, we are using the Ivan Walters reference book of 365 films to watch on the day they happened. Each day, we watch a movie associated with the date we are watching it on. And as it is the 3rd of July, we are going to be watching Gettysburg from 1993, directed by Ronald F. Maxwell and starring Tom Berenger. So while I had no idea, I did know about this movie. It's kind of hard not to know about this movie with such a fantastic cast and whatnot brought together, but I never was really into the era of American history that would make me want to sit down and watch this movie. So this would be a first viewing for this project. And as I had already previously mentioned, not only does this movie star Tom Berenger, but it also stars Jeff Daniels, Martin Sheen, Kevin Conway, and C. Thomas Howell. This war drama depicts one of the biggest events of the American Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg. The massive three-day conflict begins as Confederate Robert E. Lee, the General Robert E. Lee, played by Martin Sheen, presses his troops north into Pennsylvania, leading to confrontations with Union forces, including a regiment of Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, played by Jeff Daniels. As the battle rages on and casualties mount, the film follows both the front lines and the strategic maneuvering behind the scenes. So among the original listings that I did of the actors, there are plenty more that actually show up within this movie, and it's kind of cool to see all the facial hair acting that these gentlemen are going through. And as you look around the actual cast, it's quite obvious that one of the few actors that has actually grown his own facial hair is Sam Elliott, because Sam Elliott always has that giant bushel mustache and all that sort of thing, which he acts through perfectly. You can definitely tell that like a Tom Berenger or a Martin Sheen definitely wearing a prosthetic facial hair. Not that it looks like out of place, but it definitely looks unnormal for what these actors definitely look like to begin with. Again, not that they wouldn't be able to grow those mustaches and beards and mutton chops and all the facial hairs and all that, but it definitely is. There are very hard to find clean-shaven gentlemen throughout this movie. But that being said, it is quite the epic undertaking of a movie. I sat for the entire length of this film, and it is a lot of chances for these actors to spew out these really long monologues. Now, there are quite a few sequences where it's a monologue or a conversation between 2 or 3 characters that carries on for a while, which is kind of neat. Not like extended like in a half sort of shot, but we're doing like 30, 40, almost 50-minute continuous shots where huge monologues are being spoken, and it happens throughout the movie. We also get an interesting thing where we get a voiceover from several different points of view, which is kind of interesting to see. Usually when you have a movie, you have a single narrator talking about what's happening. But when we encounter the different factions or the different gentlemen who are either in charge or whatnot, we actually get to hear their voiceovers to explain the sequences that are going over. Not a lot, but it does happen so that it's noticeable that it's a different voice when you experience it. And for a movie that is obviously devoted to such a huge list of casualties in reality, it is a very low grade on the gore, which is understandable. You're going to go to this point, you're not going to inundate your audience with seeing constant these horrific injuries that these gentlemen would definitely have had. But there is some really cool stunts, a lot of explosives and launching of stuntmen and all that sort of thing. There's even this like some that are like and to rewind and all that sort of thing. We do have a bit of animal stuntry as well, which is always nice to see that the person falls off and the horse can get up and walk away and all that, which is kind of nice. But again, we're dealing with a lot of gunplay, both revolver and rifles, and just we're dealing with a huge cast of background actors, just walls of people coming at each other, and it's just really cool. The thing about the length of the movie is we get to experience the actual final confrontation play out for such a long time, and that final push where both forces are within like spitting distance of each other just carries on for like a good portion of time that normally you wouldn't be able to devote to that. And it's when General Pickett, played by Stephen Lang, leads his charge directly at the Federal lines, which happens on July 3rd, 1863. Now, just before I throw to what we're going to be watching for tomorrow, I would be very hesitant not to mention that I'm using this book as a reference to which movie I should be watching. My own personal choice for July 3rd would have been the 1985 groundbreaking horror classic, The Return of the Living Dead, whose actually opening sequence starts on July 3rd, 1984. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this particular episode and look off into the future to see what we're going to be watching for tomorrow, which is going to be the 4th of July. And that is going to be Shane from 1953. So until next time, go see a movie.